friends, welcome back to the Photoshop Basics for Scrapbooking class. In today's lesson, we are going to be talking about a tool that we have mentioned before, that I have mentioned before. You've seen me use it before, and I've actually given you a little bit of an introduction on this, but it is a tool that is super important for the next couple of lessons we have coming up, and that is the transform tool. Today, I want to show you in both Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements how you can use the transform tool to do all kinds of different functions to the shapes that you are creating, and to give us all an opportunity to reintroduce this tool back into our arsenal. So let's go ahead, head over to the computer, and I'm going to show you how to use the transform tool and all of the capabilities behind it in both Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements. Welcome back over here to my desktop, friends. Today we are working inside of Photoshop Creative Cloud first, and then we will transition over to Photoshop Elements to talk about the transform tool and just give you a little refresher on this one before heading into layer templates. So the transform tool is my favorite tool for moving elements on a canvas. So let's talk about what that means. First, what I'm going to do here is open up a new canvas. We'll just use a 6x8 since that is what is there. And then the other thing I want to do is open up a couple of scrapbooking products. I have an embellishment here, and then I also have a 3x4 card as well. So let's pretend that we are taking this journaling card. I'm going to select all of it, copy it, and we're going to go back over to my canvas and paste. It's a little hard to see the border around this card, so I am going to go ahead and add a stroke around the outside just to make it easier to see where those constraints are. Now, with my layer selected, we're going to use the transform on this card. The transform tool, for me, the easiest way to use it is to select Control or Command and the letter T on my keyboard. If you are not interested in using the short keys like that, you can also go to the Edit menu and down to Free Transform, and the same features will occur. Once we have transformed or done our transform function on our element, you'll see that the blue lines appear around the outside of the perimeter of the element that we're working on. At the same time, a menu pops up in the top here that allows you to do a couple of different things. For me, the biggest reason I use this is to rotate my elements a very specified amount. So for this, let's say I wanted to print this card vertically, or I wanted to flip it so the card is horizontal instead of vertical. So I can go up to this menu. There's a little angle symbol here, and next to that is a field where right now it says 0.00. So that means that it is angled at 0 degrees. It's exactly where it was to begin with. From here, I can click inside of the field and add numbers in order to rotate it as much or as little as I want. If I want to rotate it to the right, I'm going to add a positive number. If I want to rotate it to the left, I'm going to add a negative number. So if I were to put in 90, it's going to rotate it exactly on its side. If I do 180, it's going to rotate it upside down. Or if I wanted to rotate it to the left, I would just simply put -90 and it'll rotate it to the left side, so it's on its side as well. If I did not use the transform menu here at the top, I can also hover my mouse as long as the free transform lines are around my element and get this kind of circle where it's pointing in an arc around the corner of my card. From here, I can click and then drag it in order to adjust how far it is rotating. As I am rotating it, you can see up in that angle field, it's telling me exactly how much the element is being angled. If I get it to where I like it, I can hit enter in order to bring everything back into focus, and then I could totally print it the way it is or adjust it again if I want to by free transforming for a second time. Another reason you might use the free transform tool is it's a great way to adjust the size of your elements. Maybe I want to print this a bit smaller. I can come up here until my mouse shows the double-sided arrow, click, and then drag it down or up in order to increase or decrease the size of my card or whatever it is I'm working on. I could increase this so it fills up the entire 6x8, and when I hit that enter button, it will bring it into focus. So as you are increasing or decreasing, it'll look fuzzy until you hit enter, but it still is going to look just fine. So I can adjust the size here as well. The transform tool will also allow me to move my element wherever I want it to go, as long as I am clicking into the middle and then clicking and holding and dragging my element to the spot where I want it to go. One of the nice things about using the free transform tool is it does allow you to see the outside of the card. So let's say I did not have the stroke on this one. And let's copy and paste it back over again. So there's no stroke around the outside of this card anymore. But when I use that free transform tool, Control T, it's going to add the blue box around the outside, which allows me to see where the card ends and where my paper begins. And then I can make sure that I'm placing it exactly where I want it to go on my layout. The same can be true of these smaller embellishments. So let's add these onto the page as well. So I could use that free transform tool to make this smaller if I wanted to, in order to add more of them onto my layout. Maybe I wanted 3 to go in a row. I can make it bigger if I want, and maybe make this into, who knows, a cut file or something. That could be kind of fun. It also allows me to rotate it if I want, right? Or to move it anywhere on my page. So the free transform tool is going to be an easier way of making adjustments to the elements on top of your canvas. It'll come in handy a lot as we start to work on designing layouts inside of Photoshop, whether you're designing a layout that's going to be a fully digital project or a layout that's going to end up being hybrid or even physical, just a totally physical project. You can design all of those things using Photoshop, and that free transform tool is going to make your life a whole lot easier, which is why I felt it was important to do a little refresher on the tool before moving into the next part of our lessons or of our class. Let's head over to Photoshop Elements and do the same thing here. So we're going to open up the new blank file. We'll say OK. Let's also open up those same 2 elements from before. And beginning with the journaling card here, I'm going to select all of it, copy it, come back over to my larger canvas and paste it in. Because it is white, it's on the page here, you can't see where the card ends and where the paper begins. If I hover on top of it, the blue line around the outside does show up. But if I were to move this card, I can't really tell where those lines are in order to place it where I want it to go. It'd be a little bit of guesswork. I could still get there, but it's a little bit of guesswork. So let's use the same tool, the free transform. With the layer selected, you can do the same short keys, Control or Command T, and it's going to create a solid line around the outside. From here, we can adjust the size of the card. We can, I don't want to do that. We can rotate the card if we want. We can move the card if we want to get it where we want it to go. Once you are happy with the settings that you have adjusted this to, you can hit the green check mark and it will adjust everything and save it as that. If you hit the red no button, then your original settings, it'll just revert to that. Now, as we are working with the free transform tool, the menu items for this one is going to be located at the bottom of our screen this time. Here, there is a different place for the angles. So there's a word, the field angle, there's this circle, and then there's the degrees at the bottom. You can use the degrees just like we did before to add in a very specific number that you want your element to be rotated to. If you are rotating your element manually as you do it, you can see the degrees at the bottom are changing. So it will let you know exactly where you have adjusted it to. And that is pretty much this one. Let's also bring over the embellishment here. We'll pop that onto the screen. And then again, from here, we can free transform to rotate, to resize, to move. And then as soon as we hit that green check mark, everything that we have just done is going to come into focus, and also it'll save those settings for you. So free transform tool. Today or this week, while you are working inside of Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, I would love for you to work through the transform tool a little bit, play around with the angles, and especially playing around with adding in the angles using the field where you can specify your number and rotating all the way around. So 90 degrees to the right, 180 degrees, so it's upside down, and then a negative 90 degrees to the left. That's just going to give you a little bit of practice on all of that. Next week, we are going to come back and work on some layer templates. So I'm going to give you an introduction into layer templates and clipping masks and show you why layer templates are super awesome, first of all, how they can make designing layouts really easy, and why you shouldn't be scared of them. So let's reconvene next week and talk about layer templates. Can't wait to share all of that with you. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next